Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and this week we're taking a look at a Quintesson character from the Netflix cartoon. This is the Deseeus Army Drone. Now, unlike the previous two figures that I've reviewed here on the channel, this guy wasn't sent to me by a viewer. This one I purchased myself. It was about a month ago. I went down to Lexington, Kentucky for Pete's RoboCon, which we were at the lovely Galt House Hotel in Louisville. So, magnificent hotel. Hoping that they'll do this again next year down there, because trust me, I did not want to come home from that place. If any of you have ever stayed at the Galt House, you know what I'm talking about. But definitely give a quick shout out here to Pete Sinclair and all involved in RoboCon. It's a fantastic convention. Although it could have been a little better, but after the year-long pandemic of not being able to attend, this was better than nothing. Alright, at any rate, we'll get the obvious things out of the way here. The Army Drone here is obviously a repaint. He is a repaint of Siege Ironhide. But of course, the mold for Ironhide there was also used to make Siege Crosshairs. And lastly as well, Siege Ratchet. The mold would be slightly retooled for Earthrise to make the Earthrise versions of Ironhide and Ratchet. But it'd be done up differently to accommodate for the hardtop on the vehicle to make them look more Earth-like. Now, of course, Deseeus was the name given in the cartoon for the Quintesson Judge character that the Autobots ended up encountering. Now, while I didn't see the episodes in their entirety, I did see some clips of it, and I must say the Quintesson character was definitely sick and twisted, so hats off to Netflix and their writers for creating a rather bizarre take on this character. But at any rate, we now have this as an added character for our Quintesson army. As many of you may remember that last year during the Earthrise run, we were first given the Quintesson Judge that you just saw, and the Alicon character that was heavily featured in Transformers the movie. And I'm sure many of us, if we have the space and a partner that understands our mentality with Transformers, we probably bought up several of the Alicons so that we could have a Quintesson army. And no, I didn't get to do that. I don't have space for an army of Quintesson characters. But at any rate, now we have another option, especially for those of us who did not get an army of Alicons. We now have Army Drones. At any rate, let's start off by looking at his accessory. And he has the exact same accessory as Ironhide, if he will give it to me. It is a rocket launcher. It's done up primarily in a light gray plastic with a black head on the end of it. Whereas Ironhide's here was done up in more of a dark gray plastic, and it had a red tip to the end of it. Whereas the one for Crosshairs was done up in black plastic with a totally red head on the end of it. And of course, you can have your guy displayed here with it in rocket launcher mode, Or, as it was done for both Ironhide and Crosshairs, you can bend the head of it like that, and now the weapon becomes a warhammer. And so, now we can go, it's hammer time. Not quite nearly as impressive looking as, say, Thor in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Maybe if it had a longer handle that he could hold, he might be comparable to Shao Kahn of Mortal Kombat fame. What do you think, viewers? Okay, let's take a quick look at the Army Drone's articulation, and since he's basically a repaint of Ironhide, he will have the same type of articulation. His head can turn from left to right, and it can rock up and down a little bit from its ball joint. His arms can be raised out to the side, about so far, and his arms do rotate at the shoulder all the way around. You can bend his arm at the elbow 90 degrees, and he does have a G.I. Joe swivel arm battle grip by having articulation at the bicep. He can twist at the hips. You can spread his legs apart into a full splits. You can also rotate his leg at the thigh all the way around. You can raise his leg up at the hip 90 degrees, and you can bend him at the knee 90 degrees. So he does have a lot of articulation going for him. That should allow for some interesting battle poses. And of course, as stated earlier, since he is exactly the same as the Siege Ironhide, he transforms in just the same manner. First thing you will do is you will lower the chest plate, and then we are going to fold the head in, like so. Of course, I now notice from looking at it, I can now see that the paint splotches on the windshield. I don't know if that was done intentionally or if that's a quality issue. If any of you viewers also have this toy and you've got similar black splotches all over the windshield and the silver paint around it, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to know if this was a quality issue or did they paint them all like that. But at any rate, get that closed back up. We raise the arms out to the sides. Then we're going to rotate them at the shoulder so that the holes now face us. And then we raise them up above the head and connect the arms together. And once we've done that, we're going to raise the body up a little bit and rotate it just above the tires, all the way like that. Here on his back, we got the front bumper. Going to raise that up and lock it in place. Then we're going to come down here and spread his legs apart so we can work a little better. You'll raise out this side panel, and then we're going to reach in here and we're going to open the leg up like so. So then once we've done that, we'll bring the legs together. There's a post and a hole right down here, the upper part of his lower leg. So you'll put that together. Then these side covers that we had raised out from above his feet can be raised up, and they should also connect together. Just like that. And then basically the basic side panels fold in and they connect into a little hole right beneath the windshield. And then there you have it. He transforms into a small van of sorts. Of course, how well does he roll on his wheels? Rolls pretty good. And then, of course, for an attack mode, you can mount the rocket launcher on top. Now, of course, he's got 4 different holes that the launcher can be mounted in. Now, some might say that that's not very good since it's offside instead of being directly center. Well, there is a gap in between the arms, and as I have shown on some of my previous videos, if you use this end of the rocket launcher, you can snugly fit that in. And for those of you who prefer it that way, the rocket launcher is perfectly centered. Now, of course, for comparison's sake, here he is next to Ironhide. And of course, we'll show you him next to Crosshairs. And since I went to the trouble of getting him out as well, you can see that he looks somewhat different to Ratchet, due to the fact that Ratchet was heavily retooled to look more like an ambulance instead of just a generic van. But all in all, the similarities are still present. Now we get to my thoughts. What do I think of this toy? Again, like with last week with the Sparkless Bot, the Deseeus Army Drone is another bit of cannon fodder and a generic toy character for the line. Something we hardly ever got in previous lines. So this is a welcome addition, especially if you're somebody that likes to be able to build an army. But of course, if you're an army builder, you're not living at home with mom and dad, and you have a partner that understands you. I hope. In this case, this one's probably a little bit better than the Sparkless Bot in the sense that it's for one of the smaller factions in the toy line, the Quintessons. The Quintessons haven't had many toys put out for them officially, so having another one is a nice touch to have, even though all he is a redo of a previous toy. So if you can overlook that fact, it's a nice little addition to one's collection. The only thing I worry about more is the splotches of black paint being on the windshield. It's not nearly as noticeable, but it does make me wonder about Hasbro's quality control. I mean, yeah, there is obvious battle damage done to the toy, which was common in the Siege toy line. Excuse me. But I think they may have gotten a little carried away with it on this one. But let me know down in the comments if any of you have this toy, and if it's the same. At any rate, that's my review of the Deseeus Army Drone. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you liked the video, please leave me a thumbs up here on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and join our ranks. Make sure to ring the bell, since I can post videos at just about any time, really. We also ask that you share this video with your friends and fellow collectors. That helps this channel grow in a big way. And we also ask that you share your thoughts about the Deseeus Army Drone in the comments down below. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.